Corey, we are back to our bread and butter this week. We are back to what started this podcast off. We're reviewing a TV show finally.
I know, I almost forgot what it's like.
I know, it's been so long, but we needed a break, though, from Star Trek, man. We did our last one was Star Trek, and it was, by the time we hit episode 15, we were pretty much like, okay, I'm done with TV. I want something that's a one-shot, 2 hours. I can talk about it and forget about it for the rest of the time.
Yeah, dude, it felt like it was so long ago, though. I feel like we have done so many movies in between.
It's been like, what, 8 or 9 movies, maybe, something like that. It hasn't been like a massive amount, but it has been some.
Yeah, that's just crazy that there was almost 2.5 months where there was like no TV.
No TV that was worth us getting into, that's for sure.
Yeah, or there is good TV, but they're like anywhere between their 6th and 10th season, and it's like, why jump in now?
Why start season 7 of why start on the season that we started on of American Horror Story?
Yeah, like, but at least with American Horror Story, it's something different every time. So it wasn't like it was like continuity didn't really fucking matter.
Right, and Game of Thrones, that's what we really started with, and that was just, who can't review that? And we're getting ready to start with what everyone is talking about being the next Game of Thrones level TV show, and I don't doubt that one bit.
No, this is one of those shows, it's, for me, it's like, there hasn't been that insane, like, Game of Thrones episode yet where I'm like, ooh, shit. Right. I know it's gonna come, like, it's gonna happen, but at least with Game of Thrones, like, right from the get-go, I kind of felt like you were just like, whoa, like, this show still has me at points where I'm like, you don't need to be this long. Like, we could have summed this up in 35 minutes, right? Like, you know, because I'm just like, because there's points where I'm like, how long has this guy been talking? Like, god damn! Like, and I almost forget, you know, like they've been on this one character for 6 minutes. I feel like, which is just almost insane for the number of characters that are in the show.
True, very true. And the show we're talking about, for everybody who didn't read before you clicked on this, is Westworld. It's season 2, and there's so much stuff going on to the point where when I rewatched season 1 before this premiere, I forgot certain things, like major storylines that I knew I had seen a year ago, but when they happened again, I was like, oh, damn. I was like, how do I forget that? It's like one of the main things, but there's so much stuff that goes on in this show. So many different timelines, so many different... Writing the notes for this episode, I realized that there are at least 3 different timelines that we're in just in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's
that's crazy. And the, like, insane amount of dick in the show.
There is some dick. There is a decent amount of dick in the show. It
still throws me off every time, man. I'm like, are we allowed to show that on TV? Oh my god, because you never see a dick. Like, you only see dicks in porn. Like, it trips me out, man. I'm not saying you can't show dick on TV. Like, it's probably need to get more dick out there and make the dick more just, like, acceptable in terms of being what it is, just a thing, you know. But like,
we be dulled to the dick.
Yeah, bring it down. Like, let's bring the level of insanity with the dick down.
Or what they should just do is show more dick, so everybody's used to seeing dick, and it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, so let's just make like penis and dick and things like that just like more of a topic in shows all the time, so everybody just gets like numb to the situation. Like, everyone just literally gets numb to the dick.
Well, this has already gone where this podcast should not have gone tonight.
I'm just saying, dude, there's some John Holmes-esque characters in this show. There's some big dicks that you just don't expect to see in this show.
Part of me feels like there should be a disclaimer like this, like I should have a list of who's wearing a prosthetic and who doesn't. Because everybody who's become an actor in this world should not be hung. Like, that's just that. I mean, unless you're like, I can't act unless I have a huge dick, because at some point I'm going to be naked on screen. So all actors are like John Hamm's.
I guess so, man. Like, apparently for Westworld, that was part of the requirement. You know, down at the bottom, like either extremely girthy or just fucking mules of men.
Yeah, I mean, what if you're a grower, not a shower? I mean, the only person I've ever seen on TV who's a grower and showed it was the guy on Super Troopers, was Farva on Super Troopers. Like, cause he whips his dick is on TV, and you're like, man, I'm not sure I would show that on television. I'm sorry.
Scarred for life kind of dick.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's interesting. Speaking of Super Troopers, okay, so before Super Troopers, let me just run through our everything real quick. You guys, if you don't know, you're listening to the Two Dads Review podcast. My name's Clay. The guy on the other side of the mic is Corey. We are here for you once a week, never the same date as our podcast come out. So make sure when you subscribe to our podcast, you hit the notification button, because that's the only way you're going to know when our podcasts come out, because you're not going to see every Tuesday new episode. No, we have kids. So there's nothing that happens the same time in our podcast. But it's worth your listen. I promise you. You can always find us over at twodadsreview.com. From there, you got links to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Radio Public are the places you can hear us, along with right there at the Audio Boom site. So enjoy that. If you're into YouTube and you can pull it up at work and just throw your headphones on, we're on YouTube as well. Two Dads Review YouTube channel there. Subscribe, comment. We like getting into the comment section of the YouTube videos. So enjoy yourselves. And we thank you if you found our show for the first time today. Thank you for giving us a shot. We hope you like what you hear. And if you're one of our faithful listeners, we love you guys. And thanks for coming back. So that out of the way, before we get into Westworld 2, you and I, not together for once, saw more movies this weekend than we do on a weekend that we're actually reviewing movies.
Yes, we went and actually saw out of cycle movies.
Yeah, we were like, we're not reviewing these, but we have to see them because we have Movie Pass. Hashtag we love Movie Pass. Hashtag we'll take a sponsorship anytime you guys want to give us one. I don't know hashtag if they can afford it.
They got to be losing so much money on this deal.
Are they? Because I wouldn't be going to these movies in the first place, and they're selling it. They're selling the theaters. I don't know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in their business, like their business pitches.
Yeah, dude. I honestly think I remember reading an article that like they were saying in like 2020 their business model will actually be profitable, but it'll just basically be because people have got it and just forgot to cancel membership and just sit on it and don't really ever end up going to the movies. Right.
Well, can we really believe that? Because when we go to movies, we see the prices. Can we really believe that me going to that theater really cost that $16 is really a minor profit margin for the theater?
No, dude, that profit margin is got to be like in the 90 percentile. Like it has to be.
So at some point, this is kind of like, it's cutting through a little bit of that. Well, yeah, I don't know how it's profitable. I don't know how it works, but I'm going to take advantage of it as long as possible.
Yeah. They're going to have to pry it out of my hands.
Right. You're going to have to cancel my stuff, tell me I can never go to the movies again, and I won't. This show will become strictly TV shows only. TVs and Netflix shows. That's all we're going to do.
Yeah. I'll never go to the fucking movies again.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, every time we go on like a Saturday night or a Sunday night, and I look at I'm like, oh, I could be paying $16.75, but I'm only paying $9.99 a month. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm the dude that goes like, I don't feel bad for the theater like losing the ticket price, but I'm like, look, dude, I'm gonna hook you up on your food. Because I'm the guy that buys like 7 snacks while I'm in there for the 2 hours because I don't know what else to do with myself but other than like gorge on food. So, I mean, they still got to be making a killing either way.
Well, but then you have guys like me who literally bring in a sandwich his wife made him in the jacket pocket that I'm wearing.
Yeah. My wife tries to do that shit. It's just weird to me, man. I'm just like, buy a theater snack.
No, don't contribute to the business model. Take advantage of it as freely as possible until it's over. So anyway, so we both went and saw separate movies this weekend it was their opening. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was opening weekend for the movie I went and saw, not for what you went and saw. So I went and saw Super Troopers 2, which I will say here and now holds its own, if not a little bit better than the first one.
That's amazing. I mean,
it is
I haven't seen
amazing.
it yet, so wow, that's a bold statement.
Well, part of me, okay, if and I'll say that as somebody who is a super fan of Super Troopers. That was not intended to be a joke, but who has watched who grew up in the Marine Corps with, like, this was 2001. Like, this came out the year I joined the Corps, so like. And as an MP, like we watched it all the time, and I may or may not know guys that were on the road who may or may not have done the meow game on base when they pulled somebody over. I cannot confirm nor deny that has happened. I have not done it, but I do think I know a few guys who did. So we watched this. We wore out the DVD of this movie when it came out, and then, to have this big of a break, you've watched every single behind the scenes and cast interview, the stuff that about the movie, which helped to make this next movie that funny because they actually made jokes in the movie that are only funny because the behind the scenes stuff. So it was almost like like their jokes were like they were like breaking the fourth wall with the joke almost without looking at the camera. So yeah. I mean, just as an example, I wouldn't call this a spoiler, but there's a scene in the new movie where Rabbit is tied to a bench and they're about to shave his nuts, and they have shaving cream on it with a little dollop, I think they put a cherry on top, like they have it like all over his junk. I think he actually saw that in the trailer. So at one point he makes a joke. He goes, "God, I hope you guys didn't use menthol." Now, that in and of itself is like, oh, haha, yeah, menthol's kind of tingly. That would suck on your balls. Except if you know that in the first movie, when he was locked in that locker during that one prank where they had him completely shaving creamed in that locker and closed in the locker, the prop crew used all menthol because either it's all they had or they didn't know it was going to be an issue, and it like burned his body like a lot, like severely, not like second degree burns, but it caused some major irritation to the actor. So like that joke was one of those, like, I was like, that's funny, but that's really funny if you know the story from the first movie when they, so that's
cool that they slip stuff in there like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's for the super fans to be like, I get what you did there. So it was great. I went, my wife was watching the kids, so I was like, on Friday night, I was like, I'm out. I got to go see it on opening now, on Friday night. It's going to be a theater full of people, and everybody was just laughing. I don't go to a lot of comedies because I don't want to waste the money, but now that I got Movie Pass, maybe I will. But everybody was laughing. Everybody had a blast. It was just, you were missing parts of dialogue because everybody was laughing so hard. And that's the best kind of movie to go to.
That's great. That's awesome.
So mine was fantastic. What wonderful piece of shit did you go see?
I went and saw Truth or Dare, man. And, I went and saw it with my wife. And
who is a horror fan? Who is the horrorest of horror fans?
Yeah, she loves horror flicks. And it was your stereotypical, bread and butter for 13-year-olds.
Yuck.
The goofy faces you see in the trailers, they're, almost even worse in the movie. The jump scares aren't that bad, but, I, for whatever reason, I liked the movie. I was like, all right, man, this isn't really that bad. It's not, I knew it was going to be gory or bloody or anything like that, but I really liked the idea of it. Of how the Truth or Dare game got, kind of started with the demon and whatnot. And I was like, and the way they ended it, I was like, oh, man, that's fucked up. They just opened this Pandora box of the whole world, So, I was like, now we're going to get, Final Destination-esque, type films where hopefully, they'll just go straight to Blu-ray. So they just up the ante on, how fucked up people die. And you'll have just, Truth or Dare, 26. And it'll just be the bloodiest thing you've ever seen in the world.
But you know what the problem is, though? Is that Final Destination was rated R. All of them were, I think they were all rated R. My problem is PG-13 horror movies. We've said this before. I think we even mentioned it with our Quiet Place review, even though Quiet Place I didn't think was really that much of a horror as much as a suspense thriller type horror movie. You can't do a good horror movie if it's not rated R.
Yeah, if you're going to kill someone in a manner where, there should be a massive amount of blood or there should just be sheer brutality involved. You got to have an R-rated thing to it. Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen the trailer. Let me ask you the question. I can just by going off what we've all seen in the trailers, I'll name 1, 2, 3 scenes that should be bloody as fuck. All right, let's start with number 1. The guy stabs himself in the eye with something.
Oh, he stabs
what happens?
So yeah, he stabs himself in the eye with a pin, and then like walks over to the door and like slams it in even further, and like kills himself. And you see him like hit the door, and then there's like a pool of blood, like so they have blood at the end of it, but there's not like as he rammed it in his face, blood came out.
Okay. So the pin went to his eye nice and gently, nice and easy. Like it didn't spurt anything. It just kind of was in his eye.
I guess it went into that sweet spot.
Right, like the lobotomy spot. Like it's nice and like. Okay, so how about smashing the girl's hand with a hammer? I mean, we've all seen Casino. I mean, if you're a real red-blooded American, you've seen fucking Casino. If you haven't seen Casino, stop listening to my podcast right now. Put us on pause and go watch Casino because it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Sorry.
Guys, that wasn't a single breath for him.
Nope. And I'm fat and I take a lot of breaths. So yeah, that's what happens. So Casino, we've seen a rated R movie smash some hands with a hammer. So how did this go in the movie that you watched?
So like it was the whole like build up to it, and then you don't actually see it get smashed, but then you see the hand afterward. And it's, it was like all black and blue and like just instantly kind of swollen and stuff like that. Like, again, it probably should have been like way worse. Like blood and,
right.
And fragments of stuff kind of there. Cause I think she got hit with like one of those like mini sledgehammers, not like a normal hammer.
Mm-hmm.
The mallet.
Yeah, it was definitely like ball peen hammer or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something that would have just, I felt like would have just wrecked shop.
Right, so let's see, what was the other one? I know the guy on the pool table, but like breaking your neck, did they like show him at the end, like the guy who slipped and broke his neck off the pool table? Like there shouldn't be really blood if you're going to break your neck too much, but did they like show his body like laying there with his head like completely sideways or something?
Yeah, you saw him get hit and like his whole like, you see like the whole like snapping motion of his neck and then it like cuts. And then...
Right, we saw that trailer.
Yeah, basically you see what happened in the movie is what happened in the trailer.
Stupid. Well, okay, so, but
I mean, like, I also knew what I was going to watch. Like again, I wasn't expecting big things for this. I'm not giving it like an A or a B or anything like that. I mean, like, to me, it was a solid C. Like, it got by. Like, it hit its niche, like, head on, perfect. And if you knew that's what you were going to watch, like Mouse was like, remind me never to go to a horror movie that's PG-13 on like a Friday night again. She was like, because I forgot like that 13-year-olds don't know like what voice modulation is, so they all just talk at the like the normal level the whole fucking time. Like there's no like, hey man, like that shit was fucked up. They're like, yo man, that shit was fucked up, dude, right? Like, can you hear me right here next to you, guy? Fucking, but 7 people next to me also can hear me. Great, I got it. Like the whole fucking theater was like that.
Oh man, it's easy to theater to tell one person to shut the fuck up. It's really hard to tell the entire theater to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, dude, and especially the way some of these 13-year-olds look today, man. Like judging off my son, like I wouldn't tell some of these little fuckers to shut up, dude, because they're already like 6'4" and 230. like, hey man, I'm 6 foot, like $155 on a fucking good day. Like that guy could just accidentally hit me and I might get knocked out. Like he's just that much fucking bigger than me.
True. Very true. I do not. I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's like, maybe I'll yell it from the doorway, then run out the exit. Like, hey, shut the fuck up!
I hope he's not an athlete. I hope he's not big and fast. You're like, fuck.
Right. Don't run after me, please. Please value the money your mom spent to get you into this, and don't leave the theater. Enjoy what money you spent. Don't chase me out and beat the shit out of me. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't need you and like your fucking little posse, your gang of hoodlums and rogues to fucking come join and beat the shit out of me. Sheer numbers alone, I'd lose too.
But I could scream like a girl really loud when I curl up in the fetal position. Stand back, watch out.
It's like one, you're like, all right, man, I might be able to handle that. But if there's like 13-year-olds that are just say like medium height, but they're fucking feisty, like you might be done, man. Like just one of them gets you in the knee just right. Like you're not coming back from it.
No, my knees especially. You look at my knees wrong and I'm just going to be like, nah, I'm on the ground. I'm good. Like I could beat you with this leg I can't feel anymore, maybe.
Like I just imagine them as like a pack of piranhas now in my head. Like, like that's just what it is.
You just swing it. You just start pinching whatever you can grab.
Yeah, it's like when the
points.
Tasmanian devil like grabs like Bugs Bunny or something. You just see arms and legs like flailing out of the tornado.
Pretty much. Yep. And it won't go in their permanent record.
Yeah, right? Yeah, they have clean as can be by the time it counts.
That's right. So, yeah, so that was our... It's weird because being dads and having families to deal with and having to plan time to get our schedules together, the fact that you and I both went and saw movies without each other, like... It was just amazed me that we both saw movies just for the hell of it. It was great. Maybe it got us, it's nice to have to get to watch it without actually having to like pay attention to the detail that we end up having to for these podcasts.
Yeah, well, it doesn't like help that we also go to like the big movies. So it's like, okay, we know there's going to be some involved shit going on. So like Infinity Wars. Like, I know this is like a super big movie and there's going to be a ton of zillions of Easter eggs and other shit going on in it. But it's like every Marvel movie, even from the get-go, like you were just like, first 5 minutes into it, you went, there's a little bit more going on in these types of films now. Like,
right.
It's not what I've been normally seeing. Like, okay, right. Wow, they're telling me a story and it looks cool as shit.
And don't fret, listeners. We're gonna. If you've listened to us for a long time, we used to just go straight TV shows and just do the whole season and not worry about what's in the theaters. But being that it's summer, we know there's some big blockbusters coming out. So the way we're going to handle the next few weeks going from here on is any week there's a big blockbuster like Infinity Wars or the Deadpool movie or Solo. That week we will review that movie, and then the next week we will pile on a couple episodes of Westworld together. So just know that you're going to get it all, and it'll all be ready for you by the end of the season. If you want to, it's all going to be there. It just may take us a couple. We had to combine some episodes, but it'll be fine. We love super long podcasts here.
Yeah, what do we average? Like an hour and 45, 2 hours.
Yeah, the fact that half of our podcasts over the past like 10 weeks have been like between an hour and 45 and an hour 50 is amazing. That's exactly how long you and I can talk to each other before we're just like done.
It's like, all right,
I quit.
I'm over. This is out. Later, dude. I gotta go.
So okay, well, so speaking of getting into it, let's dig into the first episode of season 2 of Westworld. Right off the bat, we have to make sure that when we talk about this, that we know what timeline we are in. And somewhere between the beginning of this conversation and the end of this podcast, we will have a way of determining what timeline we're in at the moment, at least from what we can tell. So I don't know if it's going to be like D-Day or P-Party Day or however. I think I'm going to have to base most of it off of the party where Ford was killed at the end of the last season. Like that is like D-Day. So we're going to talk about it like D-Day +1, +2, and then like D-Day +14, because we know that there's a 2-week gap at some point that they mention verbatim. And there's also some shit that happens 30 years ago with Arnold. That's where we actually start. So starting off the episode, we get like a 5-minute season 1 recap.
Confused.
I know. I got you. You hang on, baby. I got you. Hang on. We got this. So first things first, if you didn't watch any of season 1 and you just started with this episode, they give you like a 5 to 7 minute, like, here's what happened all on season 1 of this show. And they give you a pretty good recap.
Yeah, I love that HBO shows do shit like that, where they'll like take the time and go like, dude, here's like a 10-minute like summary of all the shit you missed, you lazy bastard.
Right. We know we threw a lot at you last season. We know it's been over a year since you've seen us. Like, here's everything you need to remember, which is great, especially at the beginning of each show, because there's usually like they show you last time on, or previously on, and it's shit that's going to be important. Because, oh, we're coming back to that this episode. I remember what happened there. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Did you like some of the changes to the opening credits? Did you notice a few of the minor tweaks to the opening credits?
Nope.
Well, There's like a bison now instead of the horse and the person riding it. There's like a mother and child as opposed to like the people fucking, or like the eyes. They're the opaque white water that the hosts are suspended in when they're being created is now clear
I'll have to watch it the next time then, because I'm pretty much just fast forward through that shit. I'm like, take me right to the story.
No, it's just like Game of Thrones, where you have to when they only show you the towns you're going to be in that episode. It changes every episode. Have you ever noticed that about Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I knew that about Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
like,
it's that kind of it's that kind of thing. There's these opening credits aren't your standard MacGyver opening credits of the '90s, man, or Quantum Leap, where it's just all the same shit each week. This is every season it's going to be something different. And I have a few theories about the changes to the opening. Nothing major, but the opaque water to the clear water could be this kind of like everything's becoming clear to the hosts as opposed to being in the haze they've lived in for 30 years, that kind of stuff. The mother and child is kind of an on the nose one because of
Maeve
looking for her child. The bison, in fact, the bison, it used to be usually was a horse there. Now it's a bison, which is a notably not domesticated animal. Like I'm not sure, I can't back this up, but I'm not really sure there's a whole bunch of like bison that people have tried to domesticate. Like, it's more of a wild creature as opposed to a horse, which can be tamed. So I'm guessing we're kind of doing this. The hosts are now wild. In fact, there's a part of the opening where the bison breaks through a glass and it's, their escape type thing, an uncontrollable creature that is now breaking free. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff you can pull from that.
Look at you getting all deep, man. Damn.
Look at that. We're not even to the opening scene. Okay, so the opening scene is actually 30 years. So this is not Bernard talking to Dolores. This is Arnold talking to Dolores in the early days of the park.
Yeah.
And he's telling her of his dreams. And they had this little back and forth where she puts on her farmer's daughter thing, and he's like, they're asking about dreams back and forth, and at the end she's like, well, he says, why would sometimes the things you tell me, Dolores, it frightens me, and she's like, well, why would you ever be frightened of little old me or something like that? Like that's where you're just like, that's scary. Just him 30 years ago, Arnold knowing that these hosts could easily be on their way to consciousness without even any prompting, just with what they do to them in the park and how they wipe the memories and how they, things stay around or they don't get completely deleted, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Of course this was going to happen. I think he knew that way back then. And then we get this like sequence of flashes. So I'm guessing this is Bernard, so it was Bernard's consciousness or Arnold's consciousness in Bernard flashing back to that time with Dolores 30 years ago. And then we get these flashes of what I'm pretty sure is going to be stuff we will see during this entire season.
Okay.
You saw like him firing one of those P90 rifles. You saw him being there in the control room when the control room was taken over and everybody was killed in the control room, where there's a fucking bison or a bear in the control room.
Yeah, I saw that. That shit was cool.
It's one of those where like I'm not gonna take the time. I can't do it anymore. Like to stop, like to push play pause, and go through every clip of what he looked in his flashback or in his flashes. But we're going to see everything that he saw. You saw Abernathy. You saw that same skeleton that the Asian guy was putting together back at the very end of last season. You saw that same skeleton getting created again. Right. Like something is being built, created. We don't even know. So that flashes. The crazy part is that this whole season is going to take place in these 2 weeks and a little bit beyond. The 2 weeks between the party and when he woke up on the beach. When Ford got shot and when Bernard woke up on the beach is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good old solid fortnight.
Right. So we got 2 weeks, and then we have whatever, of course, happens after he wakes up on the beach, but that is moving along with us watching the 2 week stuff as well. So let's do this. So the next scene, Bernard, after the flashes, Bernard wakes up on the beach. A security team comes up to him and is like, get your hands up. I'm gonna fucking shoot you. And then Stubbs, the main security guy from last season, stops him. Who is Hemsworth? Did you know that?
Nope.
He is the older brother of Liam and Thor. Or let me see. Is it Liam? Is Liam Hemsworth?
Liam.
Yeah, Crips and Liam. Yeah. He's the older brother of the two of them.
Oh, that's cool.
I did not know that. And
I can see it now that I got his face in my head.
I didn't. I had no clue. He definitely did not get the looks of his other brothers. He's just kind of like a normal guy. He's not like, ugh, it's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like being like a Skarsgård.
Well, speaking of Skarsgårds.
Yeah, I know, right? There's one in this one.
Right, and I haven't seen him. So he plays, if you watch the History Channel Vikings show, he plays Floki on the Viking show, and I haven't seen him like normal in like 6 years. Like
That's
he's
not
been
Floki.
like, that is Floki.
That is not Floki.
Okay, the podcast is going to cut right to where I find this on IMDb, but I'm actually going to go look this up right now.
Yeah, look that up right now.
IMDb.com. Let's go to Westworld, and let's click on it. Let's click on
I like
episodes.
how you're like fucking singing along, telling the story.
Journey
Here's what
into
I'm
night.
doing.
Journey into night. I'm going to click on Gustav Skarsgård. I'm going to go to his, even though I can see it right here, I'm going to scroll down and see where it says Westworld, Carl Strand, and below that says Vikings, Floki.
Huh, well, son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. He doesn't look, well, he cleans up real well.
Yeah, dude, that's just crazy. I didn't even think that was him, man. I thought like I knew it was a Skarsgård, but I thought it was his brother, like one of his other brothers.
Well, his brother would have been, it's either him or it, or the one who never acts all the time, acts very
Really?
rarely.
I thought there was another one in there.
Well, the main one is the super hot one from True Blood.
The super hot one.
Well,
Alexander.
I mean, if you look, he makes me question my sexuality. On True Blood, I'll say it here on the podcast. That used to be the running joke in True Blood. I was like, "Ooh, shit, he's gonna get naked. Let's do this."
Good job on you, man. I mean, not a bad dude.
Hey, the man looks good. I can't not say it. You can't look at him and go, that guy doesn't look. Yeah, he looks good. I don't care what your sexuality is. You're like, that's nice. So yeah, sorry. But yeah, so Floki. I think Vikings has almost run its course, so I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, he stays around for a while because I like him as an actor, and he did great. He does. If you have not watched Vikings, go back and watch it on History Channel. Find a way to watch it. I don't know if it's on Amazon or on Netflix or whatever, like the old episodes, but it is a great, fairly factual telling of what's the guy's name? The main guy, Ragnar Lothbrok.
Yeah, and then it kind of trails off.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it kind of trails off and then switches off to his kids. Well, there's so much time change in that movie, it's insane. So, I mean, that movie and that show, like, it jumps, like, chunks of years without even, like, trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll just, like, you'll just wake, like, there'll be a fade to black and it's like, hey, dude, guess what? That was 7 years.
Right, that kid who was 12 is now 21 and massive and a whole brand new actor.
Right, yeah.
I did like that the security team had a deck of cards of the high value targets, like the folks they need to find, because that's very military-esque, like back in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and also with Operation Iraqi Freedom and stuff. You had a deck of cards that had all the high value guys. This was enemies for like me and other folks, but they're using the deck of cards as like, these are the people we need to find. Here's who we're looking for, because she flips through when the guy says who it is to verify that's who it is.
Yeah, everybody that at first, because they were in red, so I was like, are these all just people that need to be like killed? Because red just kind of to me means like get rid of, and I was like, damn, dude, that's something really bad happened. Like I feel like the card. I'm just saying, I feel like the card should have been like a different color. Like, hey, these are high value targets. Let's put it in green because that means like, hey, we want to keep it. We want to go get that. Like red to me is like, oh, we just want to end that. We need that thing to stop existing.
That did cross my mind, at least. Like, why can't you just make it a deck of cards? Are we that futuristic? We got to make some kind of plasticky red thing? Just make it a deck of cards. Leave it alone. I understand we're in the future, but damn. So they take some dune buggies over to their like mobile command station on the beach. They're like executing hosts as they find them, which was a little bit interesting. They just line them up and shoot them in the head after they download. Like they're stabbing something into their neck. Like I don't know what they're doing, but we know they're not pulling like a large chunk of data because we see that later on, like how to retrieve the core memory. But for a second, they're doing something to the person's neck, and then they're shooting them in the head, which I don't know what that is, what that was all about.
Yeah, I was trying to determine what that little device was or what the hell it was, but you only see it like once, and you
Real
see
quickly.
it for like a hot second.
Yeah, it was just weird that guy was messing with their neck, and then they were shooting him. I was like, why don't you just shoot him and then pull out whatever you need? But so every host they're finding, they are executing on site. So that kind of gives us this. So we all know what Bernard is. So we're all like, oh shit, your level of like you being found out for what you are is way heightened.
Yeah, it would be the worst thing.
Right. Now you
definitely,
now not only do you have to worry about everything going in the park, you have to worry about not being found out. And actually, there's a point later on in the episode we'll get to that you're like, oh shit, she's gonna find out, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah, but then also makes you wonder, like, how many doors are open, or like how in tuned and in depth are these creations? I don't know what to call them, really.
Yeah, how real are? Yeah, that's a whole thing we'll get into in a little bit. Some other interesting information we find out. So we meet Carl Strand because he's talking to Chinese military. So you find out that. So we know that the island or the location, I think they said island. So the island that at least this park, if not all, up to 6 parks, because we hear the number 6 later on, are all on an island, and we're guessing in Chinese waters. So it could even have been their territory that the Delos Corporation like bought or leases or whatever from them.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives us some geographical location of where we are and where everything is.
And then we also find out that he was making them sign like a non-disclosure agreement, because he was like making them sign
Right.
that not the NDA and get the fuck off my island.
Right, which is like, this corporation rules their roost. So either they've bought the island, or whatever their contract is with the Chinese government, it's like you can take your government and your military and fuck off. Like we don't.
Well,
need
yeah.
you.
Well, they
like,
said that. Well, he was telling those soldiers to get out because that the Chinese government has basically signed the island over to them. Or
Okay.
whatever. He says something like that. Then that's when he was like, make him sign the NDA and get the fuck off my island. Like, basically, the people that control you have already signed off on everything that is happening here. Like, peace out.
Right.
Which I was like,
And so
dude, that's such a vicious move. Like, they clearly illustrated right from the get-go that, like, he does not fuck around.
Right. This is where we also learned that it's been 2 weeks since the party. So we know that one of our timelines is going to be D-Day being the party, P-Day? Party Day? I don't know what to call it. What do you want to call it? So we can keep our timeline straight.
I don't know, man. I just think we just talk about it and, like,
all right.
People got to keep up.
We can't keep up. How can we expect them to keep up? I can't keep up watching the show. Like,
well,
if I had to be...
Right, because anything we... No, never mind. That's not going to work. I don't know. I got nothing.
Got nothing. That's okay. Like I said, we'll just do D-Day being the party. So it's D-Day plus 14. So it's been 2 weeks since the party. So all of this timeline takes place then. At this point, they walk Bernard and a small group of folks. I think Stubbs is there too. Strand, Stubbs, Bernard, and some tech guys go to this location where there's like a bunch of just dead hosts, Indians, and Native Americans, whatever you want to call them. It's cowboys and Indians. They're both, people are dead with arrows, people are shot dead, and Strand picks out one of the Indians, for a better term, or for lack of a better term, and says, pick that one. He's like, I want to know what was on his mind. And then we get this really, like, this wasn't even that gross to me. It was just cool. Like, this was cool. Like, the extraction of that core, of that memory core.
It was like fucking opening a cantaloupe or something, man.
Well, I loved how the guy was like, this isn't a sterile environment. He's like, fucking just pull the shit out, make do. So
yeah, right. Like he's like, I don't fucking think anybody really cares how dirty that thing is. We're never going to use it again. We just want to see the data.
Right. We really just want to set up Dolores for this. We just want to see Dolores since everybody knows where she's at. This is only for plot, but it's going to be cool to do it anyways, because it will the whole situation will lead to Bernard later on as well, which is really cool. So he performs this. He scalps the Indian. And we see the even on the, so, and that Indian also was from Ford's new narrative. He was from one of the new narrative that was happening, I believe. I think is what I noticed. And so the map or the maze is still on the underside of their scalp. And I love that they're both like, what the fuck's that about? They're like, I have no clue. And they just toss it off to the side.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Like, that's all of season 1.
Yeah, they're like, we're done with that. It's over.
Yeah, we already figured that. Everybody's figured it out. We're good. They scalp it. They crack through the skull, and then there's a little bit of brain tissue, but then it leads to like this hatch that you pull off, and you can see there's a memory core inside some sort of like just fluid, which, you know, being a tech guy, I'm sure it's whatever coolant type material it takes to keep that processor / memory like running, because it's got to be hot as hell.
Oh yeah, dude, it's got to be fucking like antifreeze on crack.
Right. And so that whole scene, they pull the core out. The guy who said it's not a sterile environment, like, wipes his dirty ass hands on the connector and like wipes it on his pants to connect. I'm like, you just bitched about it not being sterile, dude.
Yeah, I was laughing about that because he was blowing on it too, like it was like an old 8-bit cartridge, you know, like he was trying to get it to work.
Like, what is it, a Nintendo going with a flashy screen? Come on, man, just stick it in the computer and go with it. So they stick it in the hard drive, or they stick it in the port on the tablet, and you see the last minutes, the last few moments of this host's life. And as he's shot and falls, he looks up, and Dolores is standing over him, and she tells him, "I told you, friend, not all of us deserve to make it to the valley beyond," and kills him, like shoots him, you know, and kills the host or whatever. I wrote that quote down because I think it's going to be important later on down the road, because they made such a point to like let her say that and get at least, you know, the rest of the video was choppy, but her saying that was completely clear.
Well, they also say that later in the episode too.
Who says it?
The young Arnold robot. Not the young Arnold robot, the little boy who's actually
Ford. Ford is a child.
Yeah, there we go.
Right. Yeah, that kid, boy, that conversation was creepy. that whole thing, especially with the voice, like
the way his voice
like,
modulation and kept transforming and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. At parts it was Anthony Hopkins' voice, which was really, I was like, oh man, that's cool. That's so cool. All right, so from here, Bernard flashes back to the night of the party, moments after Ford has been killed by Dolores. They're hiding. So this is our second timeline we're going to be following throughout at least a portion of this season. Bernard, Charlotte, who is the Delos, what was she? She was kind of like the liaison between like corporate and the park last season. So Charlotte is there, and some other party guests, like, you know, people in suits, you know, just some high up schmucks. They're all hiding in the barn.
Probably investors, yeah.
Yeah, everybody does
just
at the
stakeholders.
Party.
Filthy rich people, basically.
Oh, geez. Everybody's so filthy rich. When it costs $30,000 a day to go to this park for fun, are you kidding me?
Yeah, right.
This is the elite of the elite. I mean, it's crazy. So they're hiding in the barn. The hosts are outside, like, target practicing with, like the party guests, and they shoot the one lady in the head, like, with, you know, trying to shoot the glass off the top of her head, because they were doing that to him during the party from last season, like on the
shot in the arm, and like the other host, you know, was shooting the bottle off the top of his head and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, not only are they just killing them, they actually remember those kind of parts of it, and they are mad enough to play with their food before they eat it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's scary. One of the suits asks Charlotte and Bernard, like, where is an exit? Get us out of here. And Bernard's like, there's another one. There's a, you know, 2 miles away, you know, northwest or whatever direction he said. At this point, a stable hand host comes in, a boy, probably 13, 14. And he hasn't been changed to be like, to know what's going on. So he's just doing his normal loop. You guys ready to ride for the great beyond, or whatever he says, like his stupid line. And they're like, fucking kill him. And they just attack him and stab him.
Well, doesn't he say the same thing that Dolores said?
No. The Valley Beyond. Did he say Valley Beyond? Somebody tweet at us. Tell us if he said Valley Beyond. I don't remember. I know it was some weird line. He may have said Valley Beyond, but he...
Yeah, because I think it was... I mean, I'm probably wrong now that more that I think about it, but I think it was one of those things where it was said in like such a host way that you're not supposed to think twice of it.
Right.
But I could be wrong.
Could be. It's fine.
But it adds more excitement to the story if he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, this podcast is already going to be long just because of how this happens, but we could spend hours going over every little frame about, I mean, this
Well, like,
show
how
is
pissed off would you be, dude, if you went through the maze and you were like, figured it all out and you're like, oh, sweet, dude, I'm stuck in a 12-year-old host? Like, this is
right.
Bullshit.
True.
I thought about that, and that would just be the worst thing ever to me. I'd be like, that's like getting bit by a vampire when you're like 11. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? You son of a bitch.
Couldn't have waited a few more years. Yeah. True. That's like, what is that? Interview the Vampire with what's her name's character?
Oh, Kirsten Dunst.
Yep, that's correct. Good call. Way to go, man. We never usually pulled out of our ass like that. Nicely done. Okay, so they kill the stable hand. Bernard gets knocked because Bernard tries to stop them because he realizes the host is not, he's just on his loop, so he's not a danger to them. And they're like, fuck it, they're all dangerous. And they knock him out of the way. When he falls, some of that brain fluid we saw earlier starts leaking out of his ear. Probably from the fact that he has just shot himself in the head like a few days ago. And they remember the guy repaired him in the basement. Yeah,
but he also made like the comment of like it's not clean, it's dirty, but it'll work, something like that. Like,
right,
like,
yeah,
hey, this isn't the proper way to fix this shit up, but it'll hold for now.
So not only is Bernard already a host and could be found out at any moment and then shot on sight, now he's also losing what keeps himself running in the first place. Like, he's not all the way good as a host anyways, which just ups his stakes. This poor guy just ups his stakes.
Well, you can already see it because he's getting they point out his like shakes in his hand and stuff like that. And everybody else is just reading it as like stress and stuff right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And good for him that he always was just kind of like feeble and meek and kind of scared all the time. So it's not like they're like, what's really wrong with you? You're normally, cock diesel. No, you're always kind of feebly. So you shaking and being freaked out is like, I don't think twice about it.
Yeah. Like, you're just a really smart person who can't handle this kind of pressure. Like, you're not meant to be in war type scenarios.
Exactly. So they kill the kid and they all, Bernard is able to hide his leaky ear from anybody, and they all leave out through the back of the barn, escaping the party that night, and head northwest towards the exit that's 2 miles away. I'm saying that so much because I want to bring something up later on down the road. Anyways, so now we have we hear the piano starts, the normal piano we've seen through the whole season, the one from the Sweetwater bar cranks up, and it's playing The Entertainer. If you didn't want to know what song that was, it was The Entertainer. But as it pulls back, no one's playing the piano and everybody's dead in the bar. We're not really sure how that happened, whether it's like tag teams came in and killed everybody, or if this is like the battle that happened, whatever. But the next thing we see is Dolores killing people still in tuxedos, but they've been armed, so they've like survived the night because it's daytime now. We don't know where this is in the 2-week period, but we know it's before the 2 weeks, before the 2-week period. So it's sometime in that 2 weeks, Dolores is hunting down the humans that are still there and alive.
Yeah, because they make reference earlier too in the show that there are still hundreds of people, I think is what he says, that are trapped in there. Yeah, that like and they don't know what the fuck's going on.
They learn real quick.
Yeah.
But so her and Teddy are riding, just hunting people down. And then we get she's at a hanging tree, and she has 3 people with nooses around their necks. 2 of them are already up, standing on the crosses that are marking the graves, and that's the only thing keeping them alive, is like still standing on those crosses.
Very symbolic.
It's just she's not. And we're seeing more and more of these hosts aren't just killing people. What's the best way to put it?
Yeah, but do you think this is also all Dolores, or do you think that this is like part of that Wyatt personality? Like she's letting she's letting Wyatt take over? Because Wyatt, remember, they always reference how Wyatt just destroyed everything that he went through. They're always like, this looked like Wyatt's work.
Right. Well, we know that Dolores has been loaded with the Wyatt character. We know that she still has her standard character. In fact, she alludes to it in this scene where she's talking to the third guy before she hangs him, and she's like, the rancher's daughter in me sees your potential and sees the good in you, but the Wyatt in me wants to, just destroy everything I come across. But I'm not either of those people. I'm myself, is what she says. So she's taking a mesh of those two, and she's creating her own personality, and she's creating her own person out of that. And I like how like her cronies are like all of her executioners are all masked. Like all the people who ride with her posse who aren't important are all wearing masks, which is kind of cool. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it come riding up.
Exactly. But what I was trying to get to a second ago is that these hosts are breaking from their robotic tendencies. They're not just executing people efficiently. They are doing it in a way. The guys at the barn that were target practicing with the lady, they are taking revenge on these humans. Oh yeah, they're having fun. Yeah, and that is even more scary than just like Terminator style robots who just sweep across things and just kill efficiently and quickly. These robots are enjoying it. So yeah, I don't know if that's like scarier to me or like because then they just it almost makes them more human-esque to me. So to me that would be like, okay, we can easily overcome. Is it a weakness where you could like talk to them? Yeah, true. Because with those guys you'd have some form of communication with these hosts, but like with the Terminator it was one objective only, and I'll do pretty much anything I have to accomplish that. Like that beeline determination, like fuck that dude. And plus they were like super indestructible. Like these hosts can still just be taken down by like a normal man-made gun, which is nice. Very true. Until they're well, that's not completely true. Especially if their pain receptors and that portion of their programming is turned off, which we see later on as well, and I'll bring that up in a minute. But we would know that a headshot to that core will. It's why they're shooting them all in the head at the beach, because that is what actually kills them by destroying that brain core. If you shot the Terminator in the leg, the Terminator's going to still run. Like if you shoot the host in the leg, that host will probably drop at least for a moment. If their pain program is still turned on to show the wound. Well, no, what I'm saying is they're not built structurally well enough to like withstand a buckshot to the knee. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I'll give you yes. You blow a joint. They have joints. Yeah, they have a bone structure like we do. So if you incapacitate them in a way that would incapacitate a human, that's what I'm saying. Just pain related. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Right. Yeah, where like the Terminator, like you could blow off half of it, and as long as like its power core was working, it was still coming at you 100%. Like it was fucking creepy. As fast as it can go. One leg, one and a half leg, right. Yeah, dude, it would cartwheel its fucking way over there somehow. I don't know. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard, is a cartwheeling one-legged Terminator, and now I kind of want to see that. There's a little bit of a joke at the end of this. When they put him up on the cross, the guy's yelling as they drive away, as they ride away. He's like, "We're sorry, it was just a game, can't you see?" And she says, "It doesn't look like anything to me." And it's just like, wah, wah. It's like, yeah, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. I just love that she leaves him. I just love that she leaves him standing there. She's like, you guys are still alive. Just don't slip and don't get tired, and you won't die. Yeah, learn how to like climb with your feet. Right. So that scene, we're guessing, because she already has her posse gathered, and I'm guessing that's somewhere in between party day and the 2-week mark. So somewhere in that 2-week mark, she has collected her posse of hosts, and she's hunting down and killing the partygoers, the humans still left on the island in the world. That's a timeline that we're at with this right here. One of the timelines, because we're about to jump again. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We're about to jump again. So we're back to the party night. The night, I mean, literally the the party aftermath, like that morning, like it's the sun has come up, it's still early morning, and this is when the man in black, or as we know him to be William, like unburies himself. He's like hidden underneath the dead bodies to not get killed. Smart man. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's alive. There's a white wolf that's walking through the camp, kind of surveying it. I'm guessing it's an animal, so it's a host, and he kind of looks at it like, Are you gonna turn on me too? Or are we good? Like, are we cool? He's like, I don't want to fight a friggin' wolf today. That'd be great.
Yeah. He's like, I've already been through enough shit, man. I need some whiskey and some sleep.
Yeah. Well, what kind of bugs me about this is that because I watched on my, like, I do like a watch party every Sunday that I've invited you to, but you haven't come to yet. Like, I watched the finale of season 1.
Go ahead and air that grievance.
Yeah, air that grievance. Like, I do, my wife cooks all kinds of food. Like, I sleep through half the show because I'm full of food. Like, I miss stuff because I'm dozing off because I'm so full. At the finale, he's out there smoking a cigarette, and when all the hosts come out of the woods, and the one hooker girl that we kept seeing, like, she shoots him and she wings him in the left arm. Yeah. His right arm, and during the whole time he's at the party, he's favoring his right arm because Dolores dislocated it and or broke it. They didn't really say. You heard like the standard Hollywood like crack noise, but you didn't know if it was just dislocating his shoulder or breaking his arm, because he comes to the party like not even moving that arm. Ed Harris is like playing that wound really well. Well, within like 4 or 5 hours, when he wakes up in the pile of bodies, he's not favoring that arm anymore. They do show the bullet wound, but like the shoulder that he was favoring, like he's not favoring anymore. And I was like, come on, continuity guys. Like, come on.
Hey man, maybe it got better.
I'm only going to give him that if it was dislocated and it was like he had a chance to like chill for a few hours and feel better. I've never dislocated my shoulder. I don't know how long it takes for it to get back to like fighting strength, because he has to fight a dude in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely wouldn't, like, if you've dislocated. Well, okay, you haven't. I have. Like,
so tell me firsthand experience.
Yeah,
after
like
6
I mean,
hours
once you
of
put
having
it back
reset,
in, dude, it's not like you're like, ooh, doing 360 arm motions and shit. Like, it's still, it's weird. It's like it works, but it works at like 60% like strength. Like everything else is like, well, I can do that, but this is a lot harder than it used to be, you know, or you just physically can't strain enough anymore.
Right, and
that's only like, if you get it right back in.
Right. He did not get it right back in at all.
I can only imagine if it sits out longer, the worse that has to be.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I know it's the future, so there could be some new medical technology, but they made a point, or at least the actor and or director for the season finale of season 1 made it a point that he was still favoring that arm by not hardly moving it, just kind of letting it just kind of sit in that position, like down to your side and not moving it. And even when he's lighting his cigarette, he's like holding lighter with his bad hand, but like bringing his other hand to get it from his arm, so he didn't have to move his arm up or anything. So it's just,
I wonder if it was one of those things where like in real life, like he did one of the stunts and he actually hurt himself, so he just had to like play it like that, you know?
Maybe. I didn't see that in any sort of behind the scenes stuff, but yeah, maybe. Truthfully, all I would have liked him to do is like one time during the fight that happens here in a minute, that him just like try to do something with that arm for a hot second and then like wince. That's all I need was a wince. Just pretend like that arm's not 100%, because you're just swinging it around willy nilly when you're running out of the way of getting shot at.
Very true. Like
nitpicks, we're good at nitpicking, baby.
Give me a little grimace is what you need.
Yeah, just a little something. Like, people like me are watching the finale and then rolling right into the new episode. It's like, I literally just saw you. I know where you are. What are you doing? You didn't lay there for 3 days and get better. Like, you were there the next morning. Anyway, so he goes to this cabin where his horse Ned is parked. I don't know what the term is for like for where you leave a horse and tie him to a hitching post, but his horse Ned is there, and then a random guy in a suit is like coming at him like reading in the riot act. He's like, I'm gonna fucking sue all you. When I get back there, I'm gonna have everybody here fired, and then boom, gets a headshot, dies. Like, yeah, he just drops. That was great, by the way.
Yeah, I like it when they do headshots where it just instantly turns someone off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no like, boom, I'm gonna like it. They just, their whole body just goes limp. Like that, well to done, me, that's sir. Like one of the best ones ever. Like, you're like, yeah,
like way to go,
that's a good one.
Way to go, stunt guy. Way to know how the human body really works when getting shot in the head.
Yep. There's no more forward motion other than like what momentum has already brought you to, and you just go down.
Exactly. He fights off. There's 2 hosts there shooting at him. He fights off he fights the one close quarters type combat, and then turns that guy's gun on the guy who's firing from a distance, kills him, and then slits the guy he's wrestling with throat, takes care of them, and then like in almost video game style, he goes into his cabin and like opens up his crate, and there's a brand new like black hat and gun and holster and everything like waiting there for him. I'm like, oh yeah, the Man in Black is back.
Yeah, right. That was kind of like, here's your new outfit. You defeated 2 enemies.
Right. It was like one step from being like da 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 da, like Zelda. So he is geared up in his Men in Black stuff. He's ready to go back out there and figure out what the fuck is going on.
He's also looks excited.
Well, yeah. Because
he knows the game's real now.
There's actually stakes involved.
Yeah.
That's the best part. He's like, this is what I've wanted to do for 30 years. I want there to be a real consequence in this game. And so you're saying he's walking out with a Westworld boner now.
Yeah, man. Soon his dick's going to be on the screen. We just won't be able to contain it.
Okay, so now that was the morning of. I'm going to say we're somewhere around even a few hours earlier that night. I'm trying to think if we saw outside during this scene. We didn't. So, but anyways, it's the guy who was writing the new narrative, who was always against Ford. His name is Lee. And he's being chased by his cannibal that we saw last season, who was like, I like to eat my meat moist. That dude, like he's being chased by him in the glass area. It's the part where Maeve shows her ability to stop the hosts, where she goes, "That's quite enough."
That's right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Because he's like underneath him, cowering when Maeve freezes him. Yeah,
right. So that tells us a whole bunch about Maeve and her makeup now, and what that tech guy did to her, or what someone has done to her, whether or not it's Ford or the tech guy from last season. Dolores may be going on a killing spree and wanting to leave the park, but Maeve has the ability to control all the hosts, and none of the other hosts can do this. She can stop them, she can start them, she can turn them off, she can kill them, and it's that in and of itself is like superpowers for her.
Oh yeah, she's basically a god.
Oh yeah, yes, a god among the hosts, absolutely.
Yeah.
So she saves Lee by stopping the cannibal host, and goes to check the map in the room he's in to find where her daughter is, because she has a little piece of paper that says what area of the park her daughter's at. And Lee, seeing that she has this pull with her right now, he's like, I can help you. That map is old. I know where there's a up-to-date map. And so he's already like trying to sweet talk his way to staying with her and letting her protect him.
Yeah, he's trying to beta his way into saving his own ass.
Right. I mean, he's all about whatever he can do to survive, really. This is when they make it to the control room, the red control room we've seen from the past season. This is where there's all these dead bodies. All the people who worked in there are all dead. There's a bear in there. It's that scene, like where there's a dead host bear in there.
Yeah, dude, I instantly went, poor bear, that sucks. I hope they have a flashback where we get to see that bear wrecking shop.
Oh, that bear's gonna wreck shop, because from Bernard's flashbacks that he was there when that attack happened in that room.
Yeah, that's right.
So you'll get to see whoever says, let's bring a bear in there, we'll get to see what happens.
Nice.
So that room is unusable to them. They can't use the map because the room is destroyed. So Lee tells her, he's like, let me see your piece of paper. Let me see where you think she's at. So she gets to him, he goes, oh, he's like, I think this is the place from where she was originally. It's just the place out in the plains where she used to be at. And he's like, boy, you really wasted on the home life, on the mother role, because now she's a hooker or whatever.
Yeah, well, she's a madam.
Madam, yeah. So she convinces Lee to take her to her daughter, since he knows the park. She's like, you're the guy who wrote these hosts and their narratives. You're the best one to lead me where I need to go.
Yeah, I don't think she really convinces Lee, other than pretty much just tells him that is what he is going to be doing. Like, he didn't have much choice in the matter.
True, very true.
But this is also where we see them walking down the hall together, and he tries to sell her out, right?
Not yet. We're almost there. We got to do one scene before that. So the next scene is, so we had Bernard and Charlotte and all the suits like leaving the barn to go to this the exfil exit site that's like 2 miles away. Well, this is the same group, but now it's daytime and they haven't made it 2 miles to this location. It was just weird to me that it was already daytime. I mean, yes, it could have been dawn, but it was pretty pitch black when they left.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, like, how long were they in that barn? Like, and like what time of night it was when they actually got out of there, and like, were they not doing any type of running?
Right. But even walking 2 miles is going to take you an hour, so it would at least just be like dusk, or just be. I mean, it was like full time daytime when they got to that trap.
Yeah, or I wonder if like some alarm just sets like all the lights on.
It just lights just turn on. It's just day or
like
night.
The sun just stays out. Like they're like, no more moon. The sun stays out. Everybody needs to be able to see.
Possibly. We know it was night when they left. We know it was night because the party was at night. But it may just go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But then
then
Ford gets shot in the head. Like the weird entry breakthrough. Like the whole like Maeve breaking out and like and remember because like at the end of last season, when she goes to go back up the escalator, like everything shuts down and goes into alarm. So I'm just wondering if in that world, then does the sun just come out and it's like everything stays daytime so we can see. We're not going to take any chances and have night roll over and lose an advantage of sight.
So are you saying that we're in a dome situation where the light is all fake? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. The moon during the beach scene at the finale of the season 1 episode where, like, it's Teddy and Dolores and it's that whole scene before the party where they're on the beach and she's dying. That moon was fake. Like, it was, like, laying there on the water. Like, it was really, really fake. So it could be.
I just feel like they have to be underground. Like, because of how many escalator stairs and shit there are. And, like, the trains that come in and stuff like that. Like, yeah, there's a big dome situation going on, or it's like a hive situation where they're just fucking like 80 stories underground.
That is crazy. Yeah, and you're right. We don't know one way or the other. We know we're on an island. We don't know where on the or in the island we are. Because
don't they make a comment earlier or in the show? I mean, I'm probably like jumping way ahead now.
It's fine.
Where they find like the dead bodies, and he like that's the ocean,
right?
Like so. Do they actually have like a part where like it connects to the real world?
Well, I mean, if they're just on we don't know. You're right. We do know that at the end, the part you're talking about, that lake / inlet from the sea was not there, but on the map before. So that's been created in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So and Bernard alludes to him. He's the one that killed them at the very end. He says, "I killed them all." So we're guessing between party day and 2 weeks when he woke up on the beach is where he like created this sea for all of them to go to using that mesh network we talk about in a little while. Weird. Right. I don't know. Or are they all dead? Or can they really drown? Do they need to breathe? If they don't need to breathe, are they really dead? Are they just waiting there to get hauled out and everybody's going to wake up and attack everybody?
Yeah. Are they just like so heavy they can't swim?
I mean, they're floating, so they're not really that heavy. And they're made like we are. Minus a few things.
Yeah, so like, what, do they just don't have swimming programming?
I don't know.
Like, why would
exactly?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're gonna find out. Stay tuned to the end of the season. Okay, so however long, whatever time of day, they were hiking 2 miles to get to one of the exits as Bernard knows about. They spotted one of the dune buggies and they spot a couple of the guys in the red and white, hazmat suits. And they're like, "Oh, we're saved." And they all run down there and Bernard stops Charlotte and he's like, "Something's not right." And he's like, "It's a trap." He's like Admiral Akbar, right? And lo and behold, it is the guys that are there in the hazmat suits are already dead. They're just propped there. And the masked figures like the ones we saw with Dolores come riding out and walking out of hidden areas and shooting all the people from the party that were left, except the one guy in the suit they let like run away. So I don't know where he's going to be at later on, but they let him run. They didn't end up shooting him in the back at the end. So.
Oh, I thought they did.
Did they shoot him? I could be wrong. I want to say I watched it was like, did they let him run? Because they shot the woman who was next to him cowering. They shot her in the head as he ran off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But the girl who rides up, by the way, did you recognize the girl who rides up with like the like weird red bloody bandana thing on her head?
Well, she was the girl from the first season.
Right. She's the one that
that Teddy ran into and was like, "You're not ready."
What?
Remember when the Men in Black and right, Teddy's his name, right?
William. Teddy's Dolores' boyfriend.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So you have William and Teddy. And remember when William, the Men in Black, that version of him, was all like tied up, and there was like the other guy looked like he was eating, like it looked like he was a cannibal, and then she was talking to Teddy, and she was like, "You're not ready, you're almost there," and that's when he was having those flashbacks about like the killings when he murdered the whole town.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe she was. I also think she's the lady who gets young William dressed and she could be both because of the time change, but she's also the girl who got William dressed. She's the one in the white dress, which is why they showed her in the opening, like previously in season 1, because that's who that is, or at least that's the host. But with the time change, she could have been repurposed later on. You are correct. I don't remember what you're talking about exactly, but I do know what you're saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's just so much. We can't all be. I'm glad that you caught stuff I didn't.
By the time the show is over, I forget stuff that has already happened because there was so much other stuff going on.
You'll be ready to do more movies when this show's over. You're like, okay, let's do some more movies. Let's do some more ones and dones.
I need to simplify it.
Well, I'm kind of hoping that putting movies in between episodes will actually break it up a little bit for us.
Yeah, it'll be good times. It'll work out well.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. It'll be good for us. Okay, so the trap is there. All the people get killed or get to run away. Bernard is starting to start flashing, start losing it, start shaking more. He's like, "This is our only exit." And Charlotte goes, "No, I know of another outpost." And Bernard's like, you can tell that he doesn't know what she's talking about, which makes no sense because he should know every exit that's out there.
Yeah, which means even there's stuff hidden from him that he doesn't know about, which is like, is that Ford's doing or did
Delos is doing, right?
Yeah. Do they actually have secret stuff built?
We don't know. Well, we do know here shortly, but not quite yet. All right, so back to Lee and Maeve. This is where they're walking and talking. They come across a host. Maeve comes across that host who's in like the white dress, who's like dying, and she tells her, "May you rest in a deep and dreamless slumber." And then the host shuts down. Like, so Maeve also has the ability to like kill them at a whim as well, or shut them down. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if that was Maeve doing that or if the host just happened to like bleed out of its fluid at that point in time.
At that exact point, yeah. I just felt it like she did. Like if she was gonna do the host version of like human dying, it wouldn't have been like with the noise, like the pew, like you heard the computer noise of like shutting down. So I feel like Maeve caused that with her like statement. So now, this just more shows her. Especially since she says something
so, like, specific about, profound. Like, not dreaming. Yeah.
Right. And then the an SRT, like a special reactions team, comes down the hall. Maeve plays human, and then Lee he's like, or they could be dressed like humans, and like winky wink nods at her, and they're getting ready.
Yeah, does the whole like eye movement, like flicks his eyes over at her like twice, and I was like, you idiot,
you fucking, and luckily they're saved by the bell because like a couple of cowboys come around the corner, and then they start shooting out in the commotion. Maeve grabs one of the P90s and just starts wrecking people. Not even hesitating. Yeah,
because she killed the one guy that eyeballed her when he realized what was happening, and then like they had eyeball like a quick little stare down, and he realized, I'm so dead.
Dead.
I'm on the wrong end of this stare.
Right. So she takes care of the rest of the guys that the Cowboys didn't get. She turns to Lee, and she's getting ready to kill him, and then. What does she say? I should have written it down because it's kind of funny. Oh, no, she says, "You try to betray me again, and I'm going to chop off the most important part of you and feed it to you." She's like, "But from what I understand, it won't be much of a meal or something." And he's like, "I wrote that."
Yeah. And he's like, "I wrote that for you."
And she's like, "Isn't that it?" She's like, "Yeah, it was a bit broad, wasn't it?" So she's like, not only is she insulting his manhood, she's insulting his ability to write. She's like insulting every little single piece of him she could possibly do, which I thought was just great. It was just fantastic. She also redirects one of the cowboys that survives the shootout. She like says, "Don't." He was going to kill Lee, and she's like, "Nope. Go after the others. They went that way." So she can kill them. She can stop them. She can wake them up. She can direct them to do whatever she wants to. She is a god right now among these hosts.
Yeah, she's got all the powers.
All the powers, which is going to be cool. It'll be great, like, when she goes into the other parks. Like, we know she does that from the trailers for next episode, from the season trailers. We know she's going to at least make it to, like, Samurai World and shit, so it's going to be so good. She heads to the rooftop bar where Hector is, and at this point, like, he is shot to shit. Like, he has bullet holes all over him, but he's not dead. So this is what I'm talking about, like, where, like, as long as the pain and the response to being shot and it's not blowing away, like, vital joints and shit, if that's turned off, these guys are going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just wonder, like, so they said they were built like us, so it just makes me kind of wonder, like, how much weak stuff's on the inside. Like, okay, so they don't have a heart because they showed him, like, getting riddled in the chest. He's probably got a sturdy chest plate, but, like, I mean, they still seem to come apart pretty easily.
Well, they're still muscle and bone type structure, like butt muscle and bone things. It's not like it's remember the shot from the last season where they're putting Dolores together and she's more robot with the carbon fiber, webbing for her. Like that now they're just bone and fake muscle. That's what I think that's what they're going with when they say that she's like that they're more like them now.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's not like a beating heart more than there's just muscle and bone over the core that runs it all. I don't know. They haven't really cut one of the new ones up lately.
Yeah.
All we saw was
sure that's going to happen.
I'm sure it will. So she wakes up Hector because he's not just like chilling, holding a bottle. Like he's physically stopped. Like he wasn't moving or breathing or anything. And then she's like, Hector, and you see him like robotically like snap awake and then, start talking to her and stuff and make out with her and all that good stuff. So awake, asleep, death, she can do it all. We're seeing it all in this. They're just kind of setting up her character throughout the rest of this, for the rest of the season. And then she enlists Hector to help her find her daughter, excuse me. So that's that part of the scene. And that is also generally the same timeline that Bernard and Chaudry, and it seems to be right after the attacks have happened. So maybe not right on party day or party night, but definitely right there in the same time before the 2-week mark for sure. Yeah. And now we're back with Bernard and Charlotte, and she goes and she finds she moves the rock and pushes the right button, and this access point opens up, and he's like, what the fuck is this? Like, how do I not know about this?
Yeah, there was, like, how cool is that thing, though, coming up out of the ground, right?
It's so cool. I like how the rock, like, shit, like, it slides on, like, a track.
Like, it moved out of the way, and, like, and then it comes up, and it's, like, such, like, this sterile-looking thing. Like, no dust fell on it or anything. It just trickled all off just right. Like, it still looked clean and brand new. Uh-huh. And that was supposed to be, like, not really touched, so don't you feel like it would be a little dirtier? Like, dust just happens.
Yeah, not in this world, by God. It's not even real dust, it's fake dust. Everything's fake. So Bernard's already like, what the fuck is going on? They get to the access door into the facility, and she mentions that there's a DNA sniffer on the handle. So folks who aren't allowed access don't get access. And so Bernard hesitates. We all like hold our breath because we're like, oh shit, he's not real. Like, is he gonna have DNA's not gonna work? Why would it ever work for him? But it does work for him. So now we're all like, what does that mean? We don't even know. Does he have Arnold DNA on him, in him? Is he? What is it that? Why is he already coded into that room? Like you said earlier. Did Ford know about this kind of stuff all along, and that's why he's already programmed into that system? I don't think Ford knew about it. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, and the only thing I could think of was like it's all based off like the clearance, so it thinks he's there. But then that makes me go, okay, does their skin then have some sort of sampled DNA, and what kind of generic DNA, or did he just like say, hey, when this thumbprint thing hits, again, it just makes you wonder, like, baffling amounts of how they pulled this off.
All speculation. It's great, and I don't have an answer. It could be 100 different things, and we still wouldn't be right with what it really will be.
No, yeah, we'll be wrong. We'll definitely be wrong.
So he gets in. Bernard and Charlotte get in. We get to meet a drone host, which is like something from my nightmares, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a mix between like
Slender Man and Terminator.
Nah, it's like an MC Escher painting mixed with like. What was the guy's name? Like H.H. Geiger, who did like the alien model, and his posters were always in the mall. Like, right. It just looks like something you don't want to see. Like, you shouldn't see muscle tissue ever like that, no matter how white and nice it looks.
Right, and it was very, very cool, very neat. Just a cool look and like I kind of want there to be like a whole battle where those things are fighting some humans and freaking them out and like destroying them. Like,
yeah, and it's even crazier because they don't have a face. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like that weird like helmety looking mask thing. You know,
yeah.
Like,
it's like I want to see that covered in like blood. Like I want it to be a big
fight
fight
they look
scene
like
with
killing
that.
machines. Like, and they're over there like doing DNA samples and shit and splicing genes and all this other shit.
Let's talk about that just for a second. So I'll talk about that first and I'll go back. They are collecting these stories that these guests are experiencing. So all the video from the things they've done, whether it be sexual or murdery or rapey or whatever, and they're also collecting their DNA. They're like collecting their fluids. So whatever fluids from the hosts got in or on these, or whatever fluids from the guests got on or in the hosts, they are retaining that and storing it.
Yep.
That's insane.
It's also disgusting.
That is, let's just suck all the jizz out. It's, it's like, so they've just got,
there's terabytes of data.
So exactly. So we've seen a host who is based off a human get into this room with a DNA sensor. So now it's like, are we talking Delos is planning some sort of like, hey, the vice president is coming to spend a week at the Westworld. Are we going to abduct him and replace him with a host version of himself we have records of his mannerisms and how he acts with the video logs. We have his DNA from his whatever. And now we've replaced, are we talking that kind of thing? I mean, there's no other reason to collect that stuff if you're going to replace somebody.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're going to set it up and say like have interactions with, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Michael Jordan or.
See, that's way too tame. You're thinking like what Disney would do with it, but if Disney could replace people and own the world, if they haven't already, they would.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I know, like, I mean, there's, like, the evil empire, evil plot twist, like, mad scientist thing to it, but I also just, like, part of me is, like, if only super rich people can go there, like, maybe they're, to, like, make even more money, there's gonna make, like, an affordable version, like, hey, you want to see what a young Michael Jordan could do on the basketball court? Like, go watch your fucking 1990s All-Star game again, all over again for the very first time. You know, shit like that.
It's like a very, very expensive Ready Player One. It's like the Oasis, but real.
Yeah, like better.
Yeah, like better and not shitty. Before we learn about the DNA gathering, Charlotte hops on a computer, and I had to actually pause the screen because I wanted to read it. As soon as the whatever happened at the party, they had a comm embargo, so they shut down all comms off the island to not let the event, like the word of the event spread. Like as soon as it happened. So she disables the comm embargo. She contacts via the chat engine, like extraction, and at the other end they're like, no, because we didn't get our package. And she's like, I fucking sent you the package. And they're like, no, you didn't. And so we're like, what package is she talking about? And we learned that the package is a host. She was trying to get a host off the island. So we're talking the whole, the one tech who kept talking about the intellectual property last season. He's like, they'll fucking kill for their IP. Like, there's no way they're going to let this stuff get out, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what they're trying to do is something is in this host. and they're trying to get it off the island back to Delos, back to whoever she's talking to the other end of that computer.
Yeah, whoever her deep throat is.
Right, and they're like, we're not coming to get you until you have the package. Like, sorry, go find it.
Again, you would think these people, like, would fucking know this shit. Like, you got to be working for some shady-ass fucking people in the first place. Like,
this should not surprise you.
You didn't want to put, like, a tracking number on that package, man, so you could fucking know where it's at all times? Like,
right.
Oh, I just sent it to you? Fucking what? Courier mail?
What do you mean you didn't get it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we leave there. Bernard is questioning everything about the building he's in, everything about the collection they're doing, everything about Charlotte in general. We leave them there. Now we go to...
Which is funny because, like, half the time you're like, man, Bernard's still more human than most of the humans that I'm witnessing in this show.
Right.
Like, he's, like, the only guy that's still genuinely trying to care about everybody in both sides. Like,
it's because he was so well built by Ford.
Yeah.
That's all it is, because Ford knew Bernard so well. And also, they could be trying to download consciousness so these rich folks can live forever by, the whole collection thing. They could actually be trying to work on a conscious download as well, so you can live forever.
Yeah, that's true.
Possibly. Who knows? All right, so Man in Black is on Ned. They're riding down. This is the scene where he comes across a campfire. You can tell this is like he got on Ned, he rode out. He comes across it. He eats he's starving, so he's drinking some water, eating some food he can find laying around. And then the boy comes up and it's like, "Are you lost?" And the Man in Black goes, "Nope, I feel like I just arrived." Because
it's super exciting.
He's like, "Let's do this. I'm ready to play this game." So this is where we were saying that the voice, like Ford's voice, the boy's voice becomes a little distorted throughout the whole conversation, and at times you can tell it's Anthony Hopkins' voice, and it's really creepy and really cool.
Yeah, like it's almost like talking to a dragon. Mm-hmm. Like the way it shifted and like kind of seemed like it was like how I'm like it's like talking like a dragon. Like I just have regular conversations with the fucking
like which
dragon.
movie? Are you talking like? I'm trying to think what the talking dragon one was recently.
Well, probably like when in like the latest like the Hobbit series, like when you run into the dragon there, like the way his voice seems to shift. Like from ear to ear, it seems like it's like all around you kind of thing. Like, I don't know. I
see where you're going.
It was like a dragon.
Right. So the big part about...
Right, yeah, so moving on.
Moving on from your dragon talk. So in case you didn't know, season 1 of Westworld was titled The Maze, and season 2 is titled The Door. So this is referenced here specifically by the boy where he tells them, "You've finished Arnold's Maze." So the game that Arnold had created for the hosts that William was playing, he finished it. He found the puzzle. He finished the maze. He was done with that. He says, "Now you're in Ford's game." He's like, you have to make it back out. You have to find the door. He's like, "This game is meant for you." As opposed the whole time in season 1, they're like, "This game isn't meant for you." Now it's like, this is your game. Ford wrote this game for William and William alone.
Yeah, this is your playground. Go have fun.
This is where the Man in Black.
Let's see now that you've got really what you wanted. Is it really all that you wanted?
Right. This is where the Man in Black's pants got real short. He's like, "Ooh, for me." and
then he shoots a kid.
Right. And the boy tells him, "The game begins where you end and ends where you began." So that could mean 800 different things. I don't even want to go into all of them. If you want to say the game ends where you began, you got to think about the scene in season 1 where there's like the pile of Confederate soldiers and like his buddy from the outside world is like still tied up, like laying on this pile of stuff. And it's the big reveal when William picks up the black hat and puts it on, and then when he pulls up, it's the old face. It's his. That may be what they're referencing, but why that scene or that location is could be the end, we don't know. But he has to find, now that they're all trapped on this island, in this bubble under the island, whatever you want to talk about, he has to find his way out of here because right now he's trapped. The door is his. That's the end of his game. Yeah,
and it was cool that. Now, like, it's going to be a bloody adventure. Because if it's his game, we already seen what he's done when it wasn't his game.
Right.
Like, can you imagine now that he's, like, off the leash with consequences? Like,
Well, he can't play it all willy-nilly like he's been playing the first game, knowing he can't be hurt. Now
that's what
a
I'm
lot more
saying.
stakes
So like
to
now,
it.
like he seems like a dude that's also pretty smart. So like I imagine him setting some fucked up shit like happening to get to what he needs to do, you know. And I don't know. I think it's going to be like a really creative way for him to move through this world.
Oh, his I mean, because you're going to be following. You're following Maeve's story, you're following the Man in Black story, you're following Bernard's story, and you're following Dolores' story. All four just finding out when they will meet each other or never meet. Like Maeve may never see the other three the entire time this whole season happens.
Yeah.
So, but yes, his path is the one I'm most interested in right now because he's on level playing field for once, and so now we get to see what he can really do.
Yeah, and I think his is just going to be a bloody trail.
Like shooting the boy in the face at the end of this scene.
Yeah. Like he's going to still kill the things for no fucking reason.
He needs to. They could turn on him at any time. So may as well kill them all. May as well kill them all. Oh, boy. And then the next scene is Maeve and Lee and Hector. They're getting Lee shows up with a whole bunch of gear for everybody, and this is where Maeve makes him strip in front of her like she had to be in front of them, and she makes him get all the way down to the full Monty.
Yeah, man, you got your uncircumcised penis of the day.
Yep, they can't mark off a Sunday without an uncircumcised penis day, I guess. I don't know. It's like, yep, my Sunday is complete. So we got that. So then we have Dolores and Teddy at a bluff. Like it's not, I mean, out there it's not a cliff, it's a bluff. They're riding, and then all of a sudden it just drops off a little bit. This is pretty much where she explains her path for this season. It's not only we don't want to just win this world that we've been in because our world is just a speck of dust in the big world. We have to take their world from them as well. Yeah. So her goal is to obliterate everything in the park, get out of the park, and then also take it over out there. And we know she makes it at least to a modern day a not a Western themed world because we saw it in the trailers. Now, whether that's a different theme park or if it's actually into the real world, we don't know that yet.
I hope it's like another island.
Well, I hope it's like Blade Runner world. Like, you know, it's like a different futuristic world that they can go play around in. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm willing to bet she never makes it to the real world. She just makes it to what she thinks is the real world, but it's just another park. That could be really cool and really fucked up for her brain.
Yeah, that's true.
But we do see her in a situation. Now, it could be a flashback. We don't know this, but it could be a flashback we've seen in the trailers, too. We don't know. Nobody knows yet. Everybody speculate. That's why I love this show, because, like I said, it's the next Game of Thrones. Not only is it, like, taking everything you see frame by frame and knowing it's important, but then knowing, like, all the trailers is like, oh, was it this? But it could be this. And then it's just rabbit hole for, like, days, which is why...
Yeah, dude, it's one of those things, like, don't start in the morning before work because nothing will get accomplished.
Nothing will get done at work because you're going to be like, well, I'm going to go on YouTube and see what everyone else is saying about it and what's going on there. And let's watch behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, it's rough. So the lady we saw that was executing, the lady who set the trap for Bernard's party, she rides up and she says, we found it. Also right here, I do love that while the two girls are doing their thing, Teddy still has like some of his core programming in him, and so like when she rides up, he like tips his hat like normal. Like it's just cool that he still does like his stupid shit from his loop.
Yeah, like he's still
Teddy,
a goody two shoe. Yeah, like he's yeah.
So I'm guessing what they've found, because of what we know about coming up in a minute, what they've found, the it in this timeline, which is within the 2-week period, is probably the Abernathy, the one that Charlotte and Bernard are going to be looking for as well. The host they're trying to get off the island, or it could be anything. It could be the location they all need to meet up at. It could be 100 different things. So we're going to find out in the future. She says we found it, and then they saddle up and ride off. So I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, that's one of those things like where I'm not even going to speculate on it. Like, you might as well just give me a little bit more information before I start jumping, because no matter where I throw that dart, it's not going to be remotely close to to where it needs to be.
It's never that close, right? Okay, so to round it out, Charlotte and Bernard, she's like, will you help me? She's like, I realize that you don't agree with anything in this room you're standing in right now, but I need your help finding this certain host. And Bernard's like, yeah, we can. He's like, if you can't find him the traditional way, we can use the mesh network. And she's like, what the fuck is that? Because I don't know anything, because I'm just a suit. And he's like, well, they all have. It's pretty much. What would you do? I mean, it's like an ant colony. Like, they all can talk to each other. You know, it's kind of like playing telephone. Hey, have you seen that guy? Have you seen that guy? And you kind of just pass it on until you find the person you're looking for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know what the hell that was.
Yeah, it's just kind of like all of the robots have like RF. All of the hosts have like they have shortwave communications between each other. So
gotcha. Okay.
He was saying it's what keeps them from letting their narratives, cross into other narratives. They can like find they know the two narratives. They get near each other and they kind of steer it away so they don't they don't mess up with each other's narratives. But this way,
like, it's cool if we cross here because it will just be an interaction or whatever.
Right.
Gotcha.
Or if it's leading this way, then we want to turn you a different way, and so they don't mess the two narratives up and they can all play out like they're supposed to. But yeah, but anyways, it's a way for all the hosts to communicate between themselves.
Gotcha.
So that's what he jacks into, which is cool because he jacks into the host on the table and it pulls up the other host that's in the room and it pulls up Bernard because they're all right there in that general area because it's a short length type communication.
Yeah.
So he pulls up his file real quick and he runs a diagnostic on himself because he's jittery and fucked up, and he's like, and the computer tells him like, you're gonna shut down in like 72 hours, like you have 72 hours to live. And he pulls out some of the brain fluid from the host and injects himself, which is hardcore as fuck. I don't care if you're an android, like he still has all his shit turned on and he injects that shit right into his skull.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like, what are you gonna be, have you found the Abernathy yet? And she's like, walking and he's trying to inject it and she turns the corner as he's already finished and she doesn't catch him. It's one of those like tension moments.
Yeah. Yeah, like dun dun dun. Oh,
it's like, he made it. Yay.
Yeah.
So he says he's located Abernathy. We see that the computer gave his core like 72 hours before complete shutdown. We know that somewhere between right now and the 2-week mark he fixes that. I don't think injecting himself in the skull right now like fixed it for good, but he knows he has to keep like replenishing his like neural coolant or whatever we're going to call it. That's a cool name, neural coolant. I like that.
There you go. That actually does sound nice.
Yeah, so we know that at some point he fixes that cuz he's better 2 weeks later when he wakes up on the beach. So that's going to be hanging over his head for most of his storyline for this timeline, for this time of the show.
Yeah, how do I stop from overheating?
Right. How do I not die? So, let's see. They find Abernathy. They're good to go. Now we are with Bernard. He flashes to the present, and it's Strand and Stubbs, the tag team, and they're all approaching the party location, but they're approaching it 2 weeks later, so all the bodies are all dead and decaying, and any sort of season 1, like maybe Ford was a host and it wasn't really the live Ford. It's live Ford because it's a bloated, decaying hole in the face Anthony Hopkins. They turn over, maggots and everything.
Yeah, there's no mistaking that's a real person. Yeah,
he's dead. So doesn't mean he didn't download his consciousness somewhere. He's gonna show up later on, but until then, he's dead. That one they got shot is dead as a doornail. And Strand at this moment is like, look, we need to find out what happened here, where all the hosts are, because they're all just dead humans. There's no hosts. I mean, not like walking around, and like what just happened here in general. So 2 weeks in, when they all land, they have no clue what's going on. I'm guessing they just got there like recently, like a day or two, before, or that morning, or who knows. So it's been like 2 weeks of like pandemonium all across Westworld because it's been just hosts against the visitors,
Yeah.
So they haul ass out of there in the dune buggies. They stop at a lake, not any lake, just a lake on the property. And there is our first anomaly they talk about, and it's a Bengal tiger body, like host body. And they're like, well, that's not from here. And they say it's from Park 6. So now we know we've got Westworld, we know we have Samurai World, and Bengal tigers are like native to India, maybe? Am I right? Is India correct?
I feel like that's correct.
Yeah, Asia. So yeah, Asia, India area. So you can imagine, I don't think it's like, it wouldn't be the Samurai World, but it's more like the Asia where India is. No shit, Clay. Just spit it out. So I wonder what world that like, is that like a Bollywood world? Like Bolly World? That would be fucking awesome.
I doubt it.
I'm saying it here.
I would say it's probably more like Shangri-La type world.
Like some,
a little more mysticism going on. And
little Aladdin, little genies and lamps and shit.
Yeah.
That's racist, probably.
I guess maybe if you say like genies and lamps and shit, and I don't know. Maybe that does make it racist.
Let's see. Okay, so they run a scan. They got satellites came back online. Some satellites came back online, so they ran a scan of the park of where the hosts are, and they noticed there's just a cluster of them. Just a cluster on the map on their tablet. It's like, why are they all right here? So they travel over to that, and this is what we were talking about earlier, where there's this giant body of water. I mean, I don't know why why Stubbs says, well, that's the sea, because it's not. It's noticeably a very, very large body of water, but it's not. They're not at the sea. It could be an inlet of some sort, but it definitely is not part of the park, or at least was not.
That's what I was wondering, if he's talking in the background where it opens up, if like that's the sea.
Well, I'm just wondering if at some point between the 2 weeks, Bernard like blows open some sort of thing that was, like a dam that was holding, on the island, that it's probably an inlet to the sea more than likely, but it wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there originally, so somebody had to make that body of water happen, and Bernard's like, I did it. Like, I killed them all. Like, so we know that he remembers at least creating this. And then we see that one of the bodies floating is Teddy's body at the very end. He's the one underwater they keep focusing on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, and that's how they end episode 1. Shoo! Long podcast. I mean,
it was.
There's so much to go through. It's going to be like this every time. And when we do a double episode, we can't talk about shit, but like, hi, Two Dads Review, bang, we're right into it. Like, you guys are just going to hang on, because we're going to be doing a couple episodes of our podcast coming up that will have 2 episodes of Westworld, and there actually is one where there's 3. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe we'll break that one into 2 episodes and release it. Like, I'll try to split it up, because we can probably put one more out just so it's not a 3-hour recording you have to listen to. But it could very well become that. I'll find a good place to split it.
I was just putting that together in my head like, oh my God, there's going to be so much to talk about.
I'm so scared. Well, the best part is that we'll have like 3 whole episodes to be like, they showed us this, but then next episode we see this, and then bang, bang, bang. You never know. Maybe we'll go through it like, maybe we'll talk each person's path instead of talking like the episode. Maybe we'll go by path.
Yeah, I think that might be the only way to do it. Otherwise, it'd be like,
we'll just die.
Why am I even talking about this? Because I know in the next episode that it's completely irrelevant, or they do this so it fixes that, or whatever. You know
I like
what I'm saying?
That. This could be a fun way. We may do this from now on, or we may never do it this way again for a TV show, for a weekly TV show.
Yeah, true.
We'll never know. Hang on. Tune in next week and the weeks after. Actually, not next week, because next week we're going to be reviewing Avengers Infinity War. It's going to be great. It's going to be just CG in your face, all over your face. And it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, dude, it's probably going to be the most beautiful film I've ever seen.
Yeah, what was the last thing that you said was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Ready Player One? You said it was beautiful. That was about it, though.
Yeah, I mean, Ready Player One was pretty. Like, it was cool looking. But, like, this is, like what I like about the Marvel films. Like, it's still sort of based in the real world with the superhero vibe still going on. Like, speaking of superhero movies that I'm super excited for, have you, like, read any about the trailer that's coming out? Like, they secretly screened for Mr. Glass?
No, but you sent me... Did you send me a link about it today? Or did my wife send
so. I retweeted some shit about it.
That's what it was. I saw that come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved
like,
Unbreakable.
In that one, okay, so, like, in that one, like, it's not, like, super exaggerated. Mm-hmm. You know, it's, like, it kind of happens, but it's not like crazy, super crazy, you know, where like people can fly and shit like that. Like that one's going to be, that Shyamalan film to me, like, I think he took his time with this and like, okay, I can't fuck this film up. Because like it just sounds like it's going to be awesome. Like Sarah Paulson's in it.
Of course, that's good. We love her.
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah. We know you listen.
Yeah. We know you're totally hooked on our show.
Yeah, right. So, okay, well, that's definitely gonna be one that we're gonna track down. Was there a release date? Is it 2019 or is it gonna be this year?
I think it's 2019.
Yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson's back, right? And of course, Bruce Willis will be in it, right?
Yeah, and then you have James McAvoy from Split.
What's he gonna be? Oh, he's gonna be the new bad guy.
Well, so basically you come to find out that like Mr. Glass and the Beast team up, and they even like, and like the Beast even makes a comment of it. Like, I think he's like, this is when you call it when bad guys team up or some shit like that, you know, like, but it's, I don't know. Did you ever watch Split?
I have not watched Split yet. No. Is he the character in Split in this movie?
Yeah. So at the end of Split, you see like, first of all, you go through all of James McAvoy's like, personalities,
right?
And then you come to find out that one's like the Beast, and the Beast is basically a superhuman, but he's like fucking amped up on rage as well.
Right.
Because there's a scene where he gets like shot and like the bullets just push back out of his skin. And like they reference it in Split where like one of his personalities is a diabetic. So when he's that personality, he has to take insulin shots, but when he's in the other personalities, like he doesn't.
Right.
You know, where I'm like, God damn it.
What a great,
super awesome. Like, I would just be the other personality all the time. But at the end of the movie, you see David Dunn, I think is his name, from Unbreakable, Bruce Willis's character, sitting at the bar, like watching the news. And he's, you know, of course, he says something like, you know, looks like somebody needs a hero or some shit like that.
No
and so
shit.
you're like, oh shit, dude. Fucking from Unbreakable, no fucking way. Like, Unbreakable is one of those films that like had so much potential to be even more amazing, and like it was like one of those things where it always left you on the cusp of
greatness,
wanting it to be better, and you were frustrated that you're stuck with this. But then Split comes along, and you're like, oh cool, I'm watching Split, let's check it out. And then you're like, no fucking way, dude. Guy from Unbreakable's back. You're telling me we're bringing back some Unbreakable shit? And then now you have a whole film that's dedicated to Samuel L. Jackson's character from his point of view, because his name was Mr. Glass.
Right.
And it looks, and like from like the screenshots I've seen, and like this will be one of the only movies I probably watch a trailer for, because I'm like fucking pumped for it.
Right.
But like for what I read, all three of them are in the room at one time. And Sarah Paulson's talking to him, so she's some kind of like psychoanalyst or like therapist, you know, and like explaining to them why they think they're heroes or villains and yada yada yada. And if this movie is done right, it could just be so fucking amazing. Like it could be borderline like Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Like when Iron Man came out and Marvel was like, "Hey, Hollywood, here's my giant dick from none of you guys buying my films. I'm just gonna go start my own movie empire."
Right.
Yeah, like Shyamalan could be back. Like everyone would be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this guy like fucking wrote this shit again." He's like, everybody would start throwing him back in the genius bucket.
Right, as opposed to where he's been for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's exciting. Like now I need to go dig some more into that, because I saw your tweet and I was like, oh, I'd heard some rumblings about this. This is great, because I did enjoy Unbreakable when it came out. But you're right, I did not know Split tied to it. Now that you said it out loud, though, I think I may have heard that and was like, there's no way that's, like, I heard it in passing and didn't even give it, I was like, there's no way that's what that is.
Yeah, Split's a good movie, too.
I heard that all the time, that Split was fantastic in its own right. So for it to tie into Unbreakable even just then, that's...
Yeah, and then the cool thing with Mr. Glass is, like, you get, like, an evil person team up. Mm-hmm. Like, and it looks like you get to see McAvoy's character unleashed as the Beast, like, a lot more.
Right.
Which would be fucking phenomenal.
That's sweet. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That'll be on our radar for 2019. We'll go see that one. I will definitely review that one with you. That'll be great.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
All right. So shall we wrap this bad boy up?
Yep.
It's been a long one. We want to thank everybody for listening to us this long. We love you long-time listeners, the long-term listeners, long time. whatever. You know what I'm saying?
We love you guys.
The folks that hang on to this point of the podcast, we like you guys the most. And we know we'll see you guys next week for Avengers Infinity War. And then we will keep on going with Westworld. So stay tuned and hit us up on Twitter at 2dadsreview. We will catch you guys next week.
All right, later, guys.